how to handle challenging notary situations, what to do when things go wrong. This will give you an idea of what to do when things do go wrong. Usually, when you're out here doing these notary jobs, a lot of things really don't really go wrong. But when they do go wrong, in the event that that happens, you need to know, like, okay, I need to do this, this, and that. Because the worst thing that can happen as a professional is something going downhill and you not knowing how to handle the situation, or you freaking out, or you not knowing, like, okay, this is what I need to do when this happens. This is how I should behave. This is how I should act. Should I give a refund or not? Being able to just answer those type of questions will help. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the board so you guys understand what to do. So first up, what do you need to do? Stay calm. The very first thing, let's say, especially if an emergency happens and you're there on site, just remember to stay calm because you are the professional in this situation. So as long as you keep a cool head when other people are freaking out, they'll also be able to keep more of a cool head, especially when you standing there with that sort of confidence. Then they'll understand, like, okay, cool. He's cool. He knows how to handle this situation professionally, no matter how tense it gets. So that's the first thing I always think about in my head, especially when everybody else around me is freaking out. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to move. Everybody's kind of like stressed and frustrated. Emotions are high. Everybody is tense. Situations like that, you want to stay calm as much as possible. Next up, you need to clarify the issue and actually know what the problem is. So I'll go ahead and put that right down. Clarify issue. So usually when people are mad or people are in a state of confusion, what tends to happen is emotions take over. And when emotions take over, we're not really paying attention to what the actual problem is. And that's why, like me, especially a person that likes to study strategy, we always try to say, like, solving for X. So we like to write down, like, all right, what is the actual problem? What's actually going on right now? What are we solving for? How do we solve for X? That's what we usually say. How am I solving for X? Is the issue this or the issue this? Knowing what that looks like, being able to clearly define it so you know what you're attacking. Because if you don't, then you're just caught up in emotions. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's mad. Everybody's scared. And that's not the best way to do things. So you need to be able to ask questions fully to understand the problem before taking action. Go see what's going on with the client. See where their head is. And couple that with staying as calm as possible. Next up is super obvious, but you guys got to remember not to notarize without proper ID. I'll write that down for you. Without proper ID. So like I've said in a couple of videos, I think I probably said this in like 2 videos. When you go to these client locations, especially if you go into these locations and you're like buddy and you're friendly with them, what they'll try to do sometimes is kind of get over on you. Some people don't want to show the ID, or they'll ask you if you can just look at a certain document that isn't one of the documents that you can use to notarize their document. And the reason you don't want to do that is because in the event that anything happens, you're going to be the person to blame. And then the state is going to look at you crazy, wondering, like, why did you notarize it using this document? This is not even a form of document that you're supposed to accept as a notary. And if you did your commission test, honestly, then you would know, like, all right, I don't need to do that. That's why it's very important to look at your state and your local laws and understand what are all the documents that you can accept. You don't want to notarize things without proper ID because that's going to fall on you. And then when you're keeping track of this stuff in your notary journal, whether it may be online or physical, or whether you're doing it in your CRM, I would also put the type of document that they showed you also in there. So what I use is different platforms like Monday. Monday is one of the easiest things that I use because in that I'm able to make a drop down column. And what I'll put in there is I'll put like driver's license in the drop down. I'll put like passport in the drop down and all the various items that are allowed in my states in that drop down. So I'm able to keep track of it. So for example, what's happened to me in the past before is somebody passed away, unfortunately. And it's a good thing that I was actually prepared, because when the law firm actually reached out to me to get more information on that signing and whether I notarized it on time or not, I had all that information sitting there on my CRM. But had I have not had that information, I would have been screwed. So don't be lazy. You need to keep track of all of this stuff. If you're not the type of person that's technically savvy, put it down on a sheet of paper. It doesn't matter where you put it. Get a little notary journal. You could get one from Amazon. You can find one online for free, but it needs to be somewhere so that way you have documentation of what happened on that particular moment. Next, you need to refuse to sign suspicious documents. So I'll put that on the board for you guys. Refuse to sign suspicious documents. And this has happened to me multiple times. And I'm gonna tell you how this usually looks. And you can kind of tell when the vibe is off. So if you're in the event where when you're refusing to sign suspicious documents, sometimes when you deny to sign the documents, the client will get mad at you, or at least the client of the person that they want to sign will get mad at you. I've had two situations happen, and one of them I was at a hospital. Was it a hospital or was it a retirement home? And there was an elderly parent, and then the daughter wanted them to sign it. But then I could kind of tell like something was going on. I was looking at the lady that was supposed to sign, an elderly woman, and she didn't really seem like coherent, like she didn't want to know what was going on. So that was my first red flag. So I'm like, all right, I don't need to be doing this because this lady doesn't understand completely what's going on. The second red flag is like, I think it was the daughter or like the aunt or somebody, whatever that lady was, she was kind of like trying to speed up the process. So I was just looking at her and then looking at the mother, and I was just like, something feels kind of off. Because what people will do, especially to elderly people that are in like retirement homes, they're trying to get on like their life insurance. So you'll have family members that try to come through, get you to sign these, notarize these documents as fast as possible. And oops, I misspelled refused. That was gonna bother my OCD. But they're gonna try to get you to sign these documents as fast as possible so they could put themselves on that life insurance. And that life insurance, they're getting paid hundreds of dollars for it. So what that lady was trying to do at the time is trying to bribe me. So like when I said I felt uncomfortable with doing it, and then she raised up the price, she was like, okay, instead of going 200, it was like a ridiculous number. She went from like, I think it was like 150 to like 400, something like that, or 150 to like 300. So I was just like, whoa. Why are you trying to like raise the price now? Because if anything happens, this is going to come back on me. The courts are going to ask me, like, did I know that that lady was like incoherent, like that she was out of the loop? So I would stay away from doing things like that. Refuse to sign those suspicious documents. Just let them know you don't feel comfortable with signing this document. Make up a excuse if you have to, but leave that room and get up out of there. Because if and when shit hits the fan, you don't want to be there looking crazy, because you will look crazy. Next up, you need to set boundaries. Set boundaries. Boom. You need to set boundaries. Although it is good to be like nice and friendly with the clients, when you go in there, just remember like, all right, I'm still going to be charming. I'm still going to be professional. I'm still going to be like friendly and warm, because you are going into these people's homes. But you don't want to be too buddy-buddy to the point where they try to slide things past you. Because sometimes people take advantage of you, thinking that you're their friend, and try to get you to do extra things. So for example, you'll go there to notarize 2 documents. You start chopping it up, talking to them, become friendly, buddy. Then all of a sudden, they got like 5 more documents that need to get notarized. And you don't want that. And what they'll try to do is not pay for those extra documents, because they thought, oh yeah, we're cool. Like all you got to do is stamp these extra documents, but for every stamp, you're getting paid for that. You see what I'm saying? So when you're too friendly, it kind of blurs the lines between professional and business, and you want to make those lines very clear and distinct. You can be friendly, you can be charming, but you need to set boundaries and be professional within the same breath. So if a client's being difficult, you need to make sure that they understand your roles and the limits of what you can do. Don't finesse anything for anybody, because when shit hits the fan, they're not going to look out for you. If you go to jail for anything, I guarantee you, they are not going to be the ones to bail you out. And you're going to sit there in that jail cell looking silly, or you're going to get a fine and end up having to pay money. So don't do that. Another one I would say is contact your notary and state hotline. If you're in a situation where you feel like, all right, things are sketchy and you don't know how to handle it, you can also reach out to your notary state hotline. Let me write that down for you guys. Boop, 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 boop. Oops. No. Notary. So there you go. If you're in a situation where things are looking kind of crazy, you don't know how to answer any questions, you can reach out to them. Have somebody answer the phone. You can step out into the hallway, explain to them the situation. They can walk you through it, because they're going to be the best person that you can reach out to for guidance. Unless you have a friend that's also within the same state that has a lot of notary knowledge that you can reach out to. Your next best bet, especially if you're at the appointment and you need somebody to answer the phone like quickly, and you can't find the answers online, just call the hotline. Before you even go to these appointments, it's best that you save things like this within your phone. So let's say if you're in Arkansas, for example, you need to go ahead and save that hotline within your phone, so you're able to just call them in the case of anything. So like, for example, if we go back to when I was saying I was signing those suspicious documents, If I was unsure about that, let's say in this example, I would step out into the hallway, call a state hotline, explain to them what's going on. And then when you go back into the room, that even gives you an alibi to leave the room, especially if you're feeling like uncomfortable. So you're able to say, no, I just spoke to the state and they said that I'm not allowed to do it because this, and that. I'm sorry. I'll give a refund for your time, this, that, and the third. But it gives you an excuse and a way to get out of there. But it's one of the easiest resources that you can use. And another thing you could do is you just need to have a plan for emergencies in general. Because I'll explain this for you. Emergencies in general. Because I've been in situations where I've gone to people's house to notarize documents before, and then the family weren't in complete agreement with the documents. So if things start getting crazy and they start arguing for whatever reason, I don't know what you got up in your house. I'm not about to stay there to get paid $100 to sign some papers, and I don't know what's about to go down. I'm leaving. You need to have an emergency ready. You need to have one of those in your back pocket. You know how they have people, you know how they say people have like lies in their back pocket? You need to have an emergency in your back pocket. Oh, my kid, I got to pick him up. I'm so sorry. I can't notarize this. I'll send somebody else. You better have that ready and get up out of there, because things can get hectic, especially when it has to do with like money or like health insurance or just insurance in general. Get up out of there. Have an excuse ready. But these are the ways I would handle the notary situations. This is what I would do if things go wrong. If you guys need a breakdown, let me know. Hop into the description down below. Book that one-on-one. And there's also a free notary starter kit down below that you can get. Has tools that you need. And if you want more tools, go ahead and get that mobile notary mastery bundle. It has the phone scripts that I actually use when I'm answering the phone. It has the email template that I send out to attorney offices and title companies so I can get some sales coming in from them. And there's also a list of 300 signing services that you can use and sign up with so you can help get business on the background. I would definitely recommend you at least get that free notary starter kit so you can put you guys into the right direction. And last but not least, go watch my video talking about the notary hybrid system to give you more ideas on how to book a client and get consistent clients without having to rely on just signing services. But anyways, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Peace, love, your boy Knowledge is out.